New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello there. It's me, yes, me, Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. I want to start this time with just being in gratitude. I am in the deepest gratitude for your presence here with me right now, today, or whenever you're watching. I am in gratitude for you as a viewer. Without you, there would be no me. There would be no need for me. So I am so filled with gratitude that you are joining today. And my other note of gratitude is for my producer, Joe Rothenberger, who is here with me every week and bugging me during the week for the show information, but he's here and supporting this particular program, and he has other programs, but I am in gratitude that Joe is supporting me today. And my other area of gratitude is for New Thought Media that allows me every week to talk about a topic that is my passion, that just brings me alive. But I know it's a difficult topic for so many people. For so many people, it's very difficult. I think I talked about this last week, that the number one thing not talked about, which I thought was death, was something that we don't talk about in our culture. But I was enlightened that it's grief that we don't talk about. So I am just honored and feel like it's a privilege to be able to discuss this, to be able to bring grief out of the shadows of our lives and right smack dab in the middle of our lives. Demystifying grief, unpacking it like a Christmas present, if you want to say, if you want an analogy, because inside of that, maybe it has ugly wrappings and it's not desirable, but inside of grief are some true valuable lessons and gifts. You know, grief transforms us. We cannot go through a period of deep mourning and grieving and come out the same. No, grief transforms us. And with that said, that is why I feel it's so important that we are able to be in dialogue about grief. And grief's superpower, believe it or not, grief's superpower is healing. It's right there. The thing that we want to avoid the most is the thing that can bring us understanding, clarity, help us move through those painful moments and come out with a realization about our loss. And before I get too wrapped up, I should say a little bit about me. I remember the other day I was watching a video, and this person never said who they were, their qualifications, or any of those things. So again, I'm still Bonnie Gonzalez, and I am a grief coach. I am now a certified grief educator, a registered nurse, a religious science practitioner, a licensed soul collage facilitator, And the most important thing, the most valuable thing that I could possibly be is a human being right here on the planet with you at this time, helping and serving in whatever capacity that I can that helps bring more light, more clarity into people's lives. So that's a little bit about me. So now that I've said that about me, I want you to make this time really for you, about you. Um, Drop a comment in the comment box, a question. Would just love to know, or if you just want to say hi and just where you're from, where you're viewing from. I would love to know that you're out there. And I know that people do watch later. And if you have a question later, that's okay, because you can still pop it in there and I will definitely respond. I also have an email. I have an email, Bonnie@yourdoulaforgrief.com. Or you can just check out my website, yourdoulaforgrief.com. So I think we got all those things cleared up, making this for and about you. And I just thought maybe if you just grab yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, glass of wine, whatever makes you feel relaxed and ready to receive information, that would be just wonderful. So just as I always do, clarify what loss and grief is. And so loss is what we experience, and grief is what we feel. And remember, loss doesn't have to just be a death. I was talking with someone over the weekend who had lost a home, to a fire, which is so devastating. And they were truly in a state of grief. Though they were very fortunate, no one was injured. It was just one of those freak accidents that happened, but no one was injured. But they were still in a state of grief. I have a lovely friend who is really struggling to recover from a very serious illness, and he's in a state of loss for the life that he had before this illness took away what he felt was his quality of life. And he has that right to feel that way. It's not up to me to say, oh yeah, but you should be grateful that you're alive or you haven't. No, that is one of the things that we do need to do. It's just honor where people are in their grief. Talking a little bit about, living in a state of toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is just as dangerous, if that's a word. It doesn't allow you to live fully, put it that way, as being in a depressed state and feeling as if you're not moving through. So there's a balance, and that's what I'd like us to be able to talk about. What's the balance? Yes, my friend that has this difficult problem and just really struggling to get back. Who knows what it's going to be like when he does make a full recovery, who he'll be, and the gifts that he's gotten from this. Just like a dark night of the soul can bring us gifts as well once we move through it. So I was saying that loss is what we experience and grief is what we feel. And not only death, but we suffer a myriad of losses in different ways. And not to feel like, oh, I don't know, just because my, best friend and I are no longer friends, it's like, wow, they're still alive. I should be grateful in that sense. But it's like, no, whatever you're feeling. So from those losses is grief. And grief is that emotional state. Grief is what that loss pushes us into. That the grief, the loss turns into the grief of sadness, anger, maybe even rage, some sadness, depression. How about confusion and numbness? I think sometimes those can be even worse than to feel enraged is when you're numb. So knowing that all of that is to be expected, and remember, no one has the right to tell you how to grieve or to tell you what you should be feeling. Honor where you are, honor what comes up with that grief and loss. And one of the ways to move through grief is knowing that grief, I call it the 3 pillars of healing our grief. And what that is that grief needs to be heard, grief needs to be shared, and grief needs to be validated. You need to talk about grief. I found that grievers just need a place to empty, a place to empty. Can you be that friend that's there to listen and allow them to empty without a judgment or giving advice? Yeah, without judging or giving advice, but just to truly listen, to just truly come from that place of empathy within. So with that, honoring grief and loss, knowing that that grief needs to be validated, grief needs to be shared, and grief needs to be heard. And that's what we're here for each other. You know, grief is a very communal thing. Sabon Fusome, an African folk teller. She made her transition a little bit ago at a very young age. But from her tribe in West Africa, she would talk about that if someone in the tribe experienced a loss in their family, it wasn't like, Sabon Fu is grieving the loss of her mother, brother, or Sabon Fu is in grief. It's like, no. What they say in that village is that grief has found us. Grief has found us because grief is contagious. People can feel it. We can sense it. We can sense when our friends are sad, and knowing that. So know that grief is a communal thing. And if it's shared, heard, and validated, wow, it makes the moving through that so much easier, so much easier. So, with that said, I wanted to talk about our theme for a minute. Our theme for today is when children grieve. When children grieve. And that's a hard one. It's a sad one. Because you know what? We were all children at one point. We were all children at one point. So I want to ask you this as we talk about when children grieve or how children grieve, how we can support our children as they move through grief. Before I go into that, I want to leave you with a question, and I'll go for a break and let you ponder this a little bit and come back and start our dialogue. And the question I want to ask you is like, how did you learn to grieve? How did you learn to grieve? Or better yet, who taught you how to grieve? Yes, who taught you how to grieve? I want you to just give that some thought as we go to a break. I want you to maybe just think about your first loss in life, first death. Since we'll talk about death today, because it is going to be more about those deaths of loved ones. But remember that any treatment for grief, any healing from grief, any treatment modalities that are given can be used for grief, no matter the cause of the grief. No matter the cause of the grief, the emotions are the same. It's just that, my gosh, death it's a deeper wound. But know that any treatment that we talk about, or modality of healing, can be used for any uh, loss that has put you into grief. So as we go to break, I want you to just think about, how did you learn to grieve? Or better yet, who taught you how to grieve? And when we come back, we'll delve into our subject on children, the forgotten grievers.
New Thought Radio, music from all your favorite New Thought artists. From Jamie Lula, Karen Drucker, Gary Lynn Floyd, Ricky Byers, Daniel Nahmod, Eddie Watkins Jr., and many, many more. 24/7 New Thought Radio. Positively inspiring.
Hello there. So did you give those questions a little thought? Your first loss, first death, since we're going to relate it to children and grieving today around death. But know that, as I said, anything that I say about grief and death can be applied to any other cause of the grief. So anyway, what did you come up with? Do you remember your first experience with death, your first loss? I was thinking of that. I remember my first loss was my grandmother, and I think I must have been around 8 or so, but I don't remember anybody exactly saying exactly what to expect. I just knew that everybody in the family was really sad. And you think about children, and think about us. We're energetic beings, and children are energy, 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 and they absorb with all of their senses, and not just sight and hearing. So they are, oh gosh, I don't want to say at the mercy, but they are affected by our emotional states, and that is why sometimes children are referred to as the forgotten grievers. And not to shame anybody. I don't want anyone to feel bad about past behaviors during a intense loss. Because unfortunately, there are no books written on the etiquette of grieving and what to do. There's not those books. We just do the best we can as we're moving through, the best we can at that time. And as Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. So that's what that's what this conversation is about. It's about us learning better, knowing better. As I said, I remember my grandma had died, and I didn't know anything about a coffin. That there'd be a coffin, you'd be seeing her in the coffin, and I just remember that night after the funeral. In those days, everybody came together and slept at someone's house, and so we had a pallet on the floor in the living room. And I know during the night I was really what is the word? Disoriented by this whole thing of a coffin. And I remember I kept looking at this big picture window that looked out into the dark and thinking at any moment there was going to be this instant flash of my grandma's coffin coming up to the window with her in it. But I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. None of us kids really had anything to say, just having fun on our palettes. But after we were asleep, it's like, oh, it was really disconcerting and not having anyone to even talk to about it. And the thing about it, in that my child's mind, it wasn't even like, oh, I wish I could talk to somebody about this. That I didn't have that sense of awareness or that type of a consciousness. And so just thinking about your first experience and who taught you to grieve and what you got to say or do. I was talking to someone who said that same thing. She was a child, and she said her parents didn't even tell them they were going to the funeral. They just told the kids. It was her grandfather's funeral, I believe she said. And the parents didn't even tell the kids they were going to the funeral, that grandpa had died. Oh, excuse me. And not having any sense of awareness of, wow, well, where's grandpa? Not that they went to bury grandpa at all. And I think the biggest way that we can help our children is by letting them see you grieve. Letting them see you grieve by saying, yes, I'm sad today. I miss my sister Linda, and I'm just heartbroken. Let them see you do healthy grieving, but also let them see you do healthy living. That, yes, I'm sad right now. I am sad, and I am just, tearful and missing my sister. But also letting them see you going out to a movie, going out to dinner and socializing with friends. Let kids see you do that. But I was just going to say that so often we are so caught up in our grief that we do forget about the kids. And that's why it's, they're titled The Forgotten Grievers, because adults are so immersed in their own grief and not browbeating at all, but just asking to remember, making some awareness around that. Like, oh, yeah, okay, yes. The kids may have questions. They may be feeling sad as well. And knowing that kids are really, they just can't process all the grief at once. They don't have that capacity. I think a lot of the issue with adults is that we have those past memories. So we're, thinking about the past. We're thinking about the future, the Christmases that we won't get to have with my sister Linda, the birthdays I won't be able to celebrate with her. She won't be able to come to my birthday. The kids don't have that. They just don't have that. Kids are really in the moment. And knowing that in the moment, kids can be sad. Kids can be really sad and crying. But if you say, oh, do you want to go to your friend Bobby's house for a birthday party? It's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. A birthday party. Yes, I can't wait. Or you want to go out for ice cream. Kids are able to move through those emotions really quickly. Not that they don't come back and resurface like they do in us, but they're able to be in the moment. Just like, think about if asking the child if they want to go to a birthday party. If somebody asked me right after my sister died, hey, you want to go to a big party down the street? I would be like, are you crazy? I would have been so upset that anyway, children don't have that. They truly, truly, truly are in the moment, laughing one moment and playing the next second. So even though these kids are so resilient, they do need your support. They really do need your support, especially when they have questions that they may want to, ask, especially about death, because death is that foreign thing. They don't quite, it depends on the age, around 9 or so, they start to realize that death can be somewhat of a permanent state. But they may have questions about what happens to the body after Linda died. What happened to her body? I remember, unfortunately, it's been so long ago. I wish I could remember more of the details. But my first husband, his sister was just a young woman. She was 30, and she had a 7-year-old. But when she died, the 7-year-old was without his mother, and at that time, he was staying with us until his father was in another location. But anyway, I just remember him saying to me, "Oh, Aunt Bonnie, is it true that when you die, you go to the devil and he has a big stew pot and they have you in a big stew pot and they're staring you in a stew pot?" And it's like, oh my goodness, no, that's not true. But you don't know what the child has been exposed to around death before. So that's why it's good to be able to have that open communication, that you can answer the question. I'm trying to think, there was another child, and this is about being honest though, another child that they said that grandma was in a delightful place. That's what they said. But just so happened in their town, the donut shop was called Delightful Place. And he thought, oh, she's at Delightful Place getting donuts? And it's like, no, that's not where she is. So that's why truth and honesty goes such a long way with our little people. And if they are asking questions, let them take the lead. Just be in curiosity to see what questions they have. And try, if you can, not to be upset, appalled, taken back, or shocked by some of the questions that may come up. Because then what happens if they feel like, oh, you're shocked, and then they're in trouble, then they feel like they can't ask the questions as they come up. So just be open and answer their questions. And children don't need a lot of information. Just keep it simple. Knowing that as a question comes for them, if it's answered quickly, then they too can move forward. And knowing that they will continue to process this loss at different stages of their evolving and growing in consciousness. So just be there and allow them to ask the questions that they need to ask. And just be a good listener. As I said, that's what all grievers want, or mourners. They just want a place to come to talk and to be heard. And do allow them to have their feelings. Encourage them that whatever they're feeling is okay. As I said, we're so good at saying, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Oh, let's not be there. It's like, no, just let them know that they're doing grief really good. If whatever they're feeling, it's like, even if they're feeling the anger, sense of wanting to stomp or kick things, it's like, still, you're doing a good job. This is a hard time. This is difficult. It's a difficult emotion to be with. And the other thing is, do continue to talk with them about the loved one. Even though the loved one is gone, continue to talk about them. There's that kids movie Coco that does a lovely job about death, and just talking about, as long as someone says your name and remembers you, you're still existing on that other plane, as long as you remember and say their name. And so I just invite you to allow them to have their memories, and to know that even though death is permanent, it permanently separates us. But did you know that spiritually and emotionally, we still have a connection? We continue to love. That love even grows stronger after death. That spiritual connection can be more intensified after death. So know that death does not end love. Death just ends that physical connection that we may have had. So I want to talk to you about a really difficult part of kids suffering with grief, is that it's just really sad when a child loses their parents, when a child loses a parent. That is really difficult. As I said, my nephew lost his mom and he was only 7. And I wish I had some kind of rule book or guidebook to have helped, but knowing that I did the best that I could at that time. And the 3 things that you can do to help children whose parents are dying or has died is this, is to tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. If the parent has been given a diagnosis and they're going to die, just be honest with the child that yes, mommy has this type of cancer and not everybody dies from it, but the kind that she has, she will die from it. So telling them the truth and name what it is. If it's, cancer, if it's heart disease, if it's maybe, my goodness, if there was an accident, of course, and that's a different situation that you have to be really truthful with the child. But also the 3rd thing, so tell them the truth, name the illness, name what it is that's taking them away or what's causing their death. And the 3rd one is to tell them what's going to happen with them. That yes, once your mom dies, you'll be going to live with Aunt Bonnie and she'll be taking care of you. Or since mommy won't be there to pick you up from school anymore, Uncle Ricky will be picking you up from school. I'll be packing your lunch every day when your mom is gone. To let them know that there is a safe haven, even though their world has been rocked, as if the rug has been pulled from under them, but giving them as much stability and encouragement as you can. And also answering their questions around that death. As I said, it's always good to start with the truth. And sometimes some circumstances around death can be really difficult. Say if daddy died by suicide, what do you tell them then? And in that case, a suggestion is that some of us die from illnesses in our body, like a heart attack or cancer or stroke, that suicide is an illness in the brain. Death by suicide is an illness in the brain. And so is the addiction if someone dies from a drug overdose, another illness of the brain. And this is from David Kessler's teaching that this information comes from. And unfortunately, if someone has been murdered, that is difficult, because know that you as the person that is their caregiver or the person that is talking to them and responsible for them, you yourself are going to be in such an emotional state that you may need support. And if you can't do this or have this type of conversation, have someone that you trust, have the conversation with them. But if it's by, murder or homicide, you may need to the thing to do is to reassure them immediately that you're going to help. You're going to help them. You'll be there with them. And of course, maybe there may be some questions that need to be asked by the police. Just reassure them of how uncommon this is, that this is not an everyday occurrence. Because what we don't want to do is scare them, thinking, oh my goodness, all you have to do, well, anybody could get murdered at any point. It's like, this is unusual, this is rare, this is so unusual. Because we want our children to continue to feel safe. Even though the situation is just horrific, we want them to feel safe. And we want to do everything that we can to assure them that they are safe. And one of the questions, I remember in a class that we had, one of the questions was that kids sometimes will ask, oh my gosh, if daddy dies, are you going to die too, mommy? And the question is, at some point, but not right now, that mommy's doing everything that she can to take care of herself and to be healthy, so that she can live a long life to help take care of you. So know that they may have those kinds of questions of maybe suddenly being abandoned by both parents. So I think that's a lot to take in. So just give yourself a breath to just breathe that information in. Just breathe that information in. And what we'll do, I'm just going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and continue the discussion. And we'll come back. When we come back, the topic will be, should children attend or participate in the funeral? So we'll just have a quick break and come right back.
New Thought Radio, music from all your favorite New Thought artists. From Jamie Lula, Karen Drucker, Gary Lynn Floyd, Ricky Byers, Daniel Nahmod, Eddie Watkins Jr., and many, many more. 24/7 New Thought Radio. Positively inspiring. Okay, there. I'm still here, and I'm glad you're still here as well. So welcome back, and we're continuing our dialogue on when children grieve. And as I said, children have been titled The Forgotten Griever. So I said when we come back, we would start with, should children participate in the funeral, or should children attend the funeral? And I can't tell you what to do. I can only give you suggestions. And it is recommended that kids do attend the funeral. But here's what I want to say. Here's the disclaimer. I think you have to be comfortable with your child attending the funeral. You have to be comfortable with that. And because that is going to really influence how they
view the funeral, how their perception that they will come away with after the funeral. I mean, if you are just, oh my goodness, nervous about attending a funeral, freaked out about it, and oh my gosh, I don't want my kid to go, and they'll just be freaked out about it. Well, I think you're thinking of you, and that's okay. If you don't think that you can be there to come, to support your child in the way that makes it healthy, then maybe you need to really just sit with that decision. David was giving an example of someone asking their 4-year-old, 4 or 5-year-old, if they wanted to attend daddy's funeral. Because, of course, the person is devastated with loss and grief. And, of course, the 4-year-old said, no, I don't want to go to daddy's funeral. Well, the 4-year-old's probably thinking, I don't want daddy to be dead, period. So anyway, so he said the person did not take the child to the funeral. And then like a year later, the child asked, when is daddy's next funeral? Because I want to go. So you see, they don't have a concept. Some children at certain ages don't have the concept or know what a funeral is. So therefore, it's on you to use your best judgment at the time. And I know that we all have cultural practices and different faiths and beliefs, but if you can, allow them to attend the funeral. And here's what I will say. If you do make the decision to allow them to attend the funeral, tell them what to expect. Tell them what to expect. That people are going to be crying. People are going to be sad. If there's going to be a coffin, explain that there will be a coffin. The body will be in the coffin. And maybe it'll look like they're sleeping, but they're not sleeping. That if you notice, they aren't breathing. And when we're sleeping, our tummies go up and down, our chest moves, and notice that there's no movement. So make sure that they are prepared for what is to come, or prepared as best as you can prepare them, but still be open for questions with that. But just letting them know what to expect. And do, as I said, let them know there will be sadness. There will be sadness. And another suggestion, I know when after my grandma died and we had other funerals, they always had someone or some place for the kids to be. Okay, Aunt Bessie over there, she's going to be taking care of the kids. When the kids come, send them over there to Aunt Bessie. She's got a room over there, or they'll be in the backyard playing, and Aunt Bessie will make sure that they are fed. Because, yes, the adults are immersed in their grief. So if you have someone that will be assigned to take care of the children, maybe they will have some activity to keep the kids occupied. Because as I said before, kids drift in and out of their grief. So yes, they're going to be sad at the funeral, but I'm telling you, once the funeral's over, they're going to be ready to run around and play and eat, and then come back to being sad again if that's what they do. Also, if they're teenagers, maybe having a friend go with them to the funeral. As you know, teenagers, that's the time that friendships are everything. So if they could have a friend to go with them, that can be helpful. So that's just something to think about. That yes, I want them to go to the funeral, and what can I do to prepare them and myself for that? And I was going to say, and it depends on the age of the child as to how you proceed. Another area I want to touch on briefly. Gosh, I can't believe the time is going so fast. But anyway, the other subject that I want to talk about briefly is how can you help your child transition back to school? Because remember, during this time, kids really need their routine. They need their routine and they need their friends. That is their way of coping and moving through the world. It's through their routine. So you want to get them back to school. But remember, kids can be a little, they don't want to stand out. They don't want to be different from other kids. And it's advised that the teacher not say, oh, welcome back, Bobby, so sorry to hear that your dad died or that your mom died. And the class is so sorry. They don't want to be singled out like that. So it is best that if the teacher wants to acknowledge his loss, maybe have the kids sign a card or make some kind of painting for them that it's given to the child privately so that he's not embarrassed in front of the class. And the big thing about getting back to school as well is that kids need their routine. But you don't want them to miss so much school that then suddenly they're behind in their studies and they're having more and more anxiety because of that. You want to try to really get them back to a place where they can ease back in without having missed too much time and not having any undue or unnecessary extra stressors. But do check in, make sure if they're sleeping okay, are they eating okay. If you have older children or even younger children, you may want to try a bereavement group. That can help. That can really help. And the idea, even if they say, no, I don't want to go, it's recommended that they go at least 3 times, at least 3 times. The first time could be truly awkward. The second time, they're starting to notice other kids. The third time, they may have made a friend. There's Susanna. Her grandpa died last month, and they start to make friends that way. So know that getting back to school can be just a wonderful keeper of their routine or returning back to their routine. And you may want to check in with, the teacher, make sure that to see how things are going in school. So I'm going to stop there. That's a lot to take in. And there's more, and I'll do more on another episode. Some things, even for me, are better in smaller doses, not overloaded with so much information. It's like, what did she say about this? What did she say about that? So just want to say that we'll stop there. We'll end with getting kids back to school, getting kids back to their routine. And so the recap with dealing, I don't want to say dealing, when helping our children navigate grief, the thing is to be truly honest, truly honest. Answer their questions simply. And the most important thing you can do is allow them to see you doing healthy grieving. Allow them to see you grieve. Allow them to hear you talk about how sad you are or how much you miss your loved one. Let them know that that's okay. And then again, let them see you go on with living. Let them see you going out with some friends or going to lunch or having a little party at your house if that's what you'd like to do or if that's what you do. So anyway, those are the 3 most important things that you can do to help children navigate grief. So thank you for that. Thank you for listening to that. And if you have any questions about anything that I've said, anything that I've said, I don't know, did I knock myself out? Oh, sorry, I touched the wrong button. Suddenly it's like, oh my goodness, where am I? Oh, I see that we have a question. I had something up and I didn't see the question from Sean. And he says, okay, at the age of 4, my parents got divorced. Yes, Sean, that's difficult. Something in me knew that was the exodus from Eden. I feel the family unit is the strongest trinity of this life. Father, mother, child. Separation is hell. And you see, Sean, I know you're older than 4 now, but you see how it happens. really affected your entire, that is a grief that you've carried all of your life. And I was going to say, one of the things that they talk about most with kids when the parents get divorced, even if you're four, feeling a sense of, wow, did I do something? It must have been my fault that my parents aren't together. And he says sometimes children will create the audacity effect, the Odyssey effect, which they see the lost parent as heroes, and they strive to be as they see them. I like it. I'm sure I mispronounced the word, create the audacity. I'm sorry. But what I was going to say to that is they always say the parent that left is the one that gets to be seen as the hero. And the one that stays is the one that gets the blame for everything. But the other side of that, the one that stayed, is the one that gets the blame because the child feels that, or knows that that is the one person that truly loves them, and they're in a safe place. So therefore they are safe to act that way. So thank you so much, Sean, for that comment. I so appreciate you. So thank you. And my heart's with you, Sean. And I still say, find someone that you can talk to about that. Find someone who you can talk to about those feelings. Inside, you're still that 4-year-old. So we want to heal that 4-year-old. So thank you so much. I want to talk to you. I want to do a little bit of a plug. A couple things. If you have any questions, drop a comment. And also, if you would like to be a guest on Your Doula for Grieve, you are welcome to come and be here with me, tell your story, be heard, share it with others. You never know what your experience can do to help someone else. So please, yes, if you would like to be on the show, you're more than welcome. Come on down. It's fun. You'll have fun with Joe and I, backstage and on camera. So thank you. And I want to talk to you about the Convention of the Americas that is coming up in August 6th through August 10th, right here in Chapala, Mexico, in the state of Jalisco. And we're right here at Lake Chapala. It is the largest body of water in the country of Mexico, and it's absolutely beautiful. People come and they say, oh my gosh, is that a lake? It looks more like an ocean. It is huge. I think it's like 50 miles long, 8 miles wide. It's a big body of water, but it's absolutely beautiful. The people here in Chapala are just absolutely mesmerizingly friendly and just, you will enjoy being here. The scenery, the landscape is beautiful. And they have special peacocks, and I won't tell you what those special peacocks are. I'll let you come and find out. But anyway, the conference starts on the August 6th, and it starts at about 2 p.m. You have registration in the morning, 2 p.m., and then it goes through Saturday, the 10th, until about 12 noon. And I'm going to be one of the presenters there for the workshop. For one of the workshops, I'll be presenting Soul Collage. I've done that. This will be my 3rd year. I would say people like it. So come and enjoy that. Some great speakers from Centers for Spiritual Living. There is a pre-convention workshop on that Monday. Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis out of Seattle will be giving a workshop. So it's all day. It's apart from the convention, but it's right prior to the convention. If you fly in for the convention early on Sunday, you can be there for Monday to be with Reverend Kathy Ann. So yeah, I hope to see you there. I'd love to see you and maybe do a little interview on the spot, and we'll have it on New Thought Media as a commercial. So I am just gratitude for having you in the audience today or during this time. I'm in gratitude, in true gratitude. And I just want so deeply to be able to help you with children to navigate grief, because we're teaching them how to grieve as we grieve. So let's do some healthy grieving. I say good grief leads to a good life. So good grief and a good life. So I want you to take this time, and I just want you to go to the mirror. I want you to look yourself in the eye. Look yourself in the eye. And say, what do I need today? What do I need today? What does my soul need? And answer that need. Honor that need. Fulfill that need. And with that, I say, don't do grief alone. Don't do grief alone. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste. And so it is.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.